Good morning, friends. Hi. Happy Thursday. Today, we are going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about copywriting, quarter planning, because I am planning for Q3 right now. And we're also going to talk about time or the lack thereof as a blogger. Even when you suddenly find yourself with all the time in the world to blog, you still don't have enough time to blog. That's what I found out when COVID happened, and suddenly I had ample time to blog and I was still producing the same amount of output. I was like, maybe it's more up here than I thought. And it definitely was. So let me see what specifically y'all asked me. Oh, and I need to pull up the chat. Of course I do. Man, I'm rusty. So I asked y'all what you're struggling with. One of the first comments was never enough time. I know, Mallory. Okay, let me get the chat pulled up. Blog feedy. Anybody notice that Facebook made it harder to find your groups on the app? So it used to be, the groups used to be like down here, and they moved them into the little hamburger menu and they replaced them with, I think, like their market or something. Like, Facebook, I don't want to buy your crap. Anybody else irritated by that, or is it just me? Okay. I just want to be able to go to my groups like bam. All right, I got the comments pulled up. I can see you guys. Yay, yay, yay. Okay, so the first question kind of came from Annie. It's not in the form of a question, but that's okay. I said, okay, friends, what's got you stuck this week with your blog? What do you need help with? Annie says, sales page writing, LOL, I'm procrastinating. So, and then I asked, are you going from scratch or using templates / prompts? And she said from scratch. So I wanted to kind of share my experience with copywriting with you guys. And then I have a little hack that I've used just for me to get myself to like start a sales page. And it's worked really well. So hopefully it'll work well with you guys too. Definitely irritated by that. Yeah, Paulette, me too. Like one day I went to press it and it wasn't there. I'm like, Facebook. So, okay. So I really love copywriting. Let me know in the chat. Do you guys like copywriting? Do you find it fun? Do you find it intimidating? Like how do you guys feel about copywriting? I think it's fascinating. It's like this really cool mix between creative writing and copywriting, which I'll define for you in just a second, and psychology, right? It's just really interesting. And what's also super interesting is how you can tweak one little thing and it can make all the difference, right? You can have a great page and for some reason it's not converting, and you change like the color of your buttons and suddenly poof. It's great. It's just so interesting. So, okay, if you don't know the difference between copywriting and any other type of writing, so I didn't know this when I first started blogging. I didn't know what writing copy meant. I'd only heard Peggy talk about it in Mad Men, but I didn't quite understand what she was talking about the first time I watched the entire series. So copywriting is just writing with the intent to sell something. That's it. It's the purpose of the written content is to sell something. That's it. That's how it differs from any other type of writing. So it's writing to sell something. Yeah, Amy says, I do like copywriting and testing. Paulette says, I've come to enjoy it after taking a few classes, one with Tahmina. Hey, I'm actually going to talk to you guys about Tahmina. Okay, so in this video description, I've put 2 resources for you guys because I don't teach copywriting if it goes outside the blog post purview, right? So the headlines course, which is on sale right now, is really a copywriting course because you're selling your blog posts, right? And then when I talk about like adding calls to action into conclusions and stuff like that, like that's where I feel really comfortable teaching copywriting. as it applies to blog posts. But if you are looking for somebody to teach you how to copyright, Tahmina's your girl. A link to her course is in this video description, right? She has a course. She will teach you how to do it so you can write your sales pages. If you want somebody to do it for you, Crystal's your girl. Just DM her and you guys can talk about done for you copywriting services. I put her information in the video description here too. I want you guys to be able to get all the resources you need. So if you just want to hire somebody to write your copyright for you, Crystal's awesome. If you want somebody to teach you how to do it, Tahmina is also awesome. And Tahmina's going to be on Faith Mariah's podcast. How exciting is that? Oh, Tahmina's here. Yay. And I got to tell you guys, I love Tahmina's TikToks. Tahmina, I love your TikToks. Really, really great, like 30-second little blurbs that'll help you improve your copywriting. Hi, Lindsay. Good morning. How are you? Okay, so we know what copywriting is. We kind of like it. I love it. But yeah, it can be tricky, and really getting yourself to start anything can be tricky, right? So like I tell you guys, when you're writing a blog post and you just can't seem to get yourself to start where you're most excited, right? Pick the heading that you're most excited to write about, start there, and then capitalize on that momentum. And it's like, you know, pushing a rock. Once it is going a little bit, it's a lot easier to keep that rock moving as opposed to going from a dead stop, right? So how do we do this with copywriting? And this is something that I have used for myself. I started with somebody else's template, Beth Ann Schwarmberger's, which she still has them for sale. They're awesome. And the cool thing about her templates is that they're not only lead pages templates, so they're very, very pretty, but they also come with copywriting prompts for your sales page. So it kind of pushes you along step by step by step. It's kind of like having somebody there holding your hand. Here's what you do here. Answer this question. Poke at this pain point, right? Okay, so once I did that, and let me tell y'all, even though I built tons of sales pages before, well, not tons, but a fair amount, right? This initial sales page still really took me like 2 weeks to get just right. And to the point where I felt like it was worth showing to the world and worth feeding Facebook ads into. But I have used that as an asset ever since. And I now use that as my template as opposed to the template I started with, because why not use the one that is already tailored to my audience? You know, it already has my voice in it. It's already got my branding all over it. And I'll show you guys what I mean. Paulette says, I'm so freaking proud of the sales page I created for this launch. Now to go find typos. Ugh, yeah, the typos are not my thing either. Oh, good. Yay. Paulette's rocking the sales page. All right, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So, oh my gosh. Can you guys hear my cat howling? He's so pathetic. Pico, what are you doing? Ugh, okay. Some people's cats. All right, so here is, here's Sinfully Sexy headlines. There's a summer kickoff sale going on, $20 off. Hello, last day. Anyway, so this was originally one of Beth Ann Schwarmberger's templates, and I took it and I Kelly'd the shit out of this thing, right? It's got my brand colors, my brand fonts all over the place. It's got my little leafy design in the background here that I splash everywhere, right? And then, of course, my copy super sounds like me. So there's lots of my personality up in here. Y'all know I love GIFs, et cetera, right? This template has been thoroughly Kellyized. And I don't want to have to reinvent the freaking wheel every time I write a sales page. So now what I do is I copy this sales page in lead pages and I use it for my other sales pages. So are you noticing something similar here? What? They look look very much the same. So for us, we get worried about, like us, the creators, we get worried about being boring and repetitive, and maybe people thinking that we're taking like a shortcut or the easy way out by reusing our already built sales pages. That's not true. They are not looking at it a million freaking times like you are. So for them, it's brand consistency and copy consistency, right? You're not all over the place. They can recognize your stuff when they see it and or read it. It's actually a good thing. And then, of course, I just go in and I change the copy. So this first part here, tell me if this sounds familiar. You spend countless hours writing your blog posts, right? So this one is for Simply Sexy Headlines. Does this sound familiar? It's self-promo day in your favorite blogging Facebook group, right? So I'm using the same sort of storyline, but I'm poking at a different pain point as it pertains to whatever product. So this one is for my organizer. So I'm poking at the pain point of wanting to drop a link to something awesome you made in your favorite blogging Facebook group on self-promo day, but you can't find the freaking link. How many times have we been there? I've been there a million times. That's how I know to write about it. Anyway, and then how my product, of course, is going to solve that problem for them. And then in here, I talk about by the time you're done writing, there's no energy left for the headline, right? The most important part. So, and what a crappy headline does to your blogging biz, right? How much it affects your blogging business, right? So I don't have to come up with this stuff over and over and over and over. This is my sales page method of kind of doing the same thing where you jump start your writing. So in my blog post writing, I jump start the writing by starting where I'm most excited. When I'm writing sales pages, I jump start it by using this template that I've customized for myself and my business. So I don't have to start from a cold start all the time. It's already kind of warm for me, right? And familiar. I think that if you notice that your writing's getting stale because you've written this so many times, then it would be time to switch it up, right? But I have not experienced that. It only gets better, right? The more you practice, the better you get. So I'm practicing niggling these pain points, right? And trying to aggravate them just enough, but not so much that I fill my reader with despair. Right? You got to bring in that turnaround pretty quick. Like, hey, yeah, we all experience this and it kind of sucks, but I'm here to help you. So that being said, I'm not a copywriting expert. If you want to learn, go to Tahmina. If you want somebody to do it for you, go to Crystal. One thing I have found that was kind of like a huge aha moment for me is to focus on the results and not the method. So we have all seen sales pages that just tell us what's in the course, and they don't really tell us why we need it, what tangible results is it going to produce in our life, how it even relates to our life. Like, here's my thing, yay. And I did this too. I totally did this in the beginning. And there's nothing wrong with like listing out what happens in each module, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But that should go along with like, hey, here's the benefit that this is going to have in your life, right? And that's all I got to say about that. Kind of. I have one more thing to say. Of course I do. Just like in blog post writing, focus on them. Yes, you are telling your own story, and I encourage you to tell your own stories. So just like in my pages, I talk about how I couldn't find any of my links, right? And it was driving me freaking crazy. And that's why I created the organizer for myself, because the back end of my blog was a freaking train wreck. So I do talk about my story, and I encourage you to. Having your own personal story that you can weave into your blog posts and your sales copy will set you apart from people who, other bloggers who maybe they don't have any personal experience with their topic and they're just regurgitating information they find online, or they just don't feel like sharing that story. And it's going to make it harder to make that customer to blogger connection, right? However, always put your story through the lens of what do they need to hear. It's really about them. You are telling your story for them. So leave out the parts, Hemingway. Here's Hemingway. Leave out the parts that aren't going to serve them, right? But tell your story. I'm sorry, my cat. Tell your story if it is going to help them and serve them. So, like, hey, in a blog post example, a tip would be like, hey, here's a hot tip. When I did this, I found that the way everybody says to do it only kind of worked. And here's how I modified it to make it work, right? That is where the story comes in for you in blog posts. And then where the story comes in for you in copywriting, again, I'm just going from my own experience here, but I am much more likely to buy something from somebody that I know has been there and done it, right? And that's has enough common sense on their sales page to not go on and on and on and on and on about themselves and stuff that's not relevant to me. So yes, tell your story, but keep it relevant to the reader. Oh, Tahmina says, hi, Hemingway. This is why he can't be here. Ugh, this sneaky 20-pound kitty. Hemi, I just need you to back up a little bit. This is the world's neediest cat. And I mean like needy. Anyway. Does anybody have any questions? That's what I know about copywriting. And that's my little hack that I've been using to make sales pages a little bit easier. Now, I'm not saying that I bang them out super quick. It still takes me time to write copy. And I'll show you guys, like on my insanely efficient blog organizer, what took me a really long time was all of the Hemingway. I'm sorry. Get down. Get. Ugh, I have hair in my nose. Was all of the mock-ups, right? So I have lots of mock-ups that have a whole bunch all together, but it was these 1-by-1-by-1 mock-ups that I did, right? Showing all of the awesome spreadsheets that really, Hemingway just biffed it. That really took forever. So, well, okay, not forever, but they took me, I don't know, it took me a solid week to do this. Because I have a day job and a family and kids, and it's sunny out in the Pacific Northwest. And when it's sunny out, we really have to take advantage of it and get out there. So, but imagine if I was starting from scratch, right? And I didn't have this already set up for me to go in there and organize. It would have taken me much longer. Okay. Amy says I have one kitty like that, but he's always up in my business. Yes. And that's the thing. It's like he can't, okay, you see this? He can't just chill like my other cat, like Hemingway, not to compare you to Pico all the time, but when Pico's in here, he just sits on my desk and chills. Hemingway is like literally in my face. I still love you. Tahmina says, I have 2 approaches to writing sales pages, the story method, which I talk about in my course. Heck yeah. And the questions method, which works great for shorter sales pages. I love it. See, Tahmina knows her stuff. I'm already interested. Take my money, Tahmina. Honey. This live is going off the rails real quick. All right. Let's see who else asked what. Okay, so Mallory was saying never enough time. And Amy said, I'm curious about your quarterly planning process. Those two kind of go hand in hand. So I kind of want to talk about them all at once. Yeah, I'm really strapped for time too. I have the day job at the family biz, and I will have the day job until my parents retire. It's not like when my blogging biz meets a certain income goal, I'm going to quit there. No, I'm there for the foreseeable future. So, managing my time is really important. And, I am not a person who is like naturally, like, I am not that like type A person. I'm not. I force myself to do type A like activities because I've had to survive, right? I had to learn that stuff in my past as a purchasing career, right? To survive, to bring home the paycheck. But I'm not that stuff doesn't appeal to me naturally. It's not something I get all excited about. Oh, Lindsay has a question. My question is, where do I start? I have my niche, I have my domain and website set up. I know my voice. Now I'm doing research on the content and struggling to brainstorm in categories on Excel. I'd like to keep the brainstorming on the computer as opposed to notebooks because I'll lose them. Any tips? Yeah. So you have your niche, you have your blog ready to go. And so what you're struggling with is what to write about. Is that correct? Am I with you on this? And yeah, I really like to organize stuff in spreadsheets too. I do keep my blog post topic ideas in a notebook. There is a specific reason I did that, but when I'm doing heavy keyword research, I totally spreadsheet that shit. I don't notebook it. The notebook comes later for it's after I've gathered a whole bunch of data, and then I'm using like an actual piece of paper to write an outline. Yeah, she says I have categories, just what's next. Yeah. Well, what's next is you start writing. And honestly, your categories will probably change. They will probably change. Yeah, you start writing. And so are you unsure of what to write about? Because I'm pretty sure I've done keyword research videos in this group. So if you go over to, let me show you guys where you can find all the awesome resources. So if you go over to the Badass Bloggers page and then go over to media, there it is, videos. So here's all the videos I have done in this group. I don't even know where the end is. Oh, look, there's Hemingway being thrown off my desk again. Did you guys see that? Look, there he is. The stinker. He's a repeat offender. Oh, there he is again. Okay. But anyway, you can search the group. So you can search for keyword. Okay. Let's workshop a keyword for Heather's post. So we did a live workshop there. Crystal gave us something about keywords here, how to find keywords that are gold, baby gold. Yeah, so there's lots of stuff about keywords in this group. Yeah, so Lindsay says, I did like your idea. I'm writing about what you're excited to write about. Yeah, and the way I use that is that is kind of the purpose of that blog post idea notebook that I keep. So anything that's been like validated, and that's as far as like it, people are actually looking for it online and it's something I can write about. It could potentially bring in traffic, and furthermore, lucrative traffic goes in that book, right? It's not like all of my blog post ideas are in that book. These ideas have already been validated by me. And so I know they're all viable. And then when it's blog post writing day, I flip through the book and I pick the thing that I'm most excited to write about, right? Unless there's something super specific coming up. Like let's say I had a blog post in there waiting to be written about headlines, and I was launching Sinfully Sexy headlines for the first time. Then I would want to make sure to prioritize that post, right? Because your blog is not your business. It is there to serve your business. It is a tool for your business. So, and then furthermore, like sometimes even though that usually works, like I flip through the book and I write about something that I'm excited to write about, sometimes even the stuff that we need to write about, like as a resource for our audience, maybe we're not super stoked about, or maybe we just are having trouble getting started. That's when I look at my outline for that blog post, and then I pick the heading that I am most excited to write about. So we're like micro hacking ourselves here, right? So we're not only are we hacking ourselves to find a blog post we're excited to write about, but then we're hacking ourselves to get started on that blog post somewhere where we're excited. And it's just so much easier to get started. Like, I don't know how many of you have jump started a car. It's the same idea, right? You got to get it rolling a little bit. You open the door and you put your left foot out. Hopefully you have a friend helping you push in the back. Anyway, yeah, you kind of got to start. So I have a really cool new thing coming up that I'm going to talk to you guys about next week. And it will help you with finding what blog post to write. But we can talk about that more next week. Okay, you're welcome. Oh, good. I'm glad you love the site. Yay. I'm glad that's helpful. Did that make sense, Lindsay? Okay, so let's talk about time, the lack of time, and quarter planning. So we are at the end of Q2. I do not know how that happened. I don't want to sound cliche, but where did the time go? I don't know. Man, Q2 went by so fast. I can't believe it. So we're here at Q3, and Q3, I don't know about you guys. I don't know. Tell me in the chat, what does Q3 look like for you? Are you super busy during the summer? Is summer like a time where you get a lot done on your blog, or you take a little bit of time off from your blog? What does it look like for you? So for me, summers are stupid busy because we have a seasonal family business that is super busy during the summer. So I need to devote as much time as possible over there. But of course, I also want to work on my blog, not only because I've worked so hard. I want to keep this business going, but I really love it. Like, it's what I love to do. I don't know where my tissues are. Not because I'm crying, because I have allergies. Okay. Tahmina says, it's easier to start in the middle rather than agonizing over how to write a headline or the intro. Having the meat of it ready to go actually helps me write the headline and the intro. Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree. When you write your intro last, it helps you make it more cohesive with the rest of the post that's already written, right? And if you decide you want to use a anecdote tactic in your intro, it's pretty easy to go in and weave that anecdote through the rest of your post once it's already written. I don't know. That's my experience. So if I want to hold a story about me learning whatever it is I'm talking about through the whole post, once it's already written, it's kind of easy to go in and insert that story into your post. I see my tissues. Hold on. It's my nonstop year-round allergies. I'm pretty sure I'm allergic to my cats. And as you can see, they're in my face. Okay. Good point, Tahmina. I love it. Tahmina says more launches in Q3. Cool. I love that. So is summer a time where you get to have more time to launch for you, Tahmina? Amy says summer are busy for me with gardening. Winter is my slow time. Yeah. So Amy is in like the landscaping gardening niche. So that makes sense, right? She gets a lot more traffic this time of year. So there's a lot of other stuff going on, right? Increased traffic comes with, hopefully increased like course sales, and increased course sales come with increased customer service needs and lots of other things. Okay. So, oh, good. Tamina says it's school break. So yeah, no studying, only launching. Nice. So you have this is your quarter where you can make like some big moves, right? And maybe, hopefully, and I'll talk about this in a second, set yourself up for some passive income when you go back to school, or for some passive activities, right? So you can batch a lot of stuff during your free time. So when you're busy, you don't have to worry about it. It's already done. It's just kind of on autopilot. So I already told you guys I'm not like the traditional type A person. What does that mean? I mean, we all know what we think of type A, but I don't know. I was never crazy about those types. But I'm not like, I have to force myself to be super organized and stuff. And I like planning because I like the start of things. I really love the start of things and the daydreaming. So my planning process, I joked with Amy, is really like, it's like daydreaming and ADHD, like all combined into one. And that's kind of what my planning is like. But here's the thing. So I do like a year-long focus. So I have like a year-long goal. And then each quarter goal should feed into that year-long goal. And then the things I'm doing throughout the quarter should feed into my quarter goal, which feeds into my year-long goal, right? So they're all feeding into one another. What I don't do is get hyper specific when I'm planning my quarter. So I do know generally when I'm launching, or that I'm launching something like once a month or maybe twice a quarter. Like I know like in July I'm launching, and I'm close enough to July that I have a launch date. But a lot of the times, if I know I want to launch something in August, I won't set the launch date until I get a little bit closer. And that's just the way I have to do it. That's how my brain works. And I find that a lot of the times if I like hyper plan out my quarters, like, okay, I'm going to do this on Wednesday, August 21st. I don't end up doing it, right? It's too far out. It's kind of silly for me, for my personality to hyper plan that far in advance, but I do have a plan. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not just wandering aimlessly. And I think that's really important for every single blogger, right? Have a vague idea of where you're going. Amy says, what's your goal, Kelly? Is it a theme or is it monetary? So of course I do have, I have income goals. Yes. But this one is more of a theme, and this is kind of what I do. So this year's theme was to get really comfortable with and hopefully good at selling. I recognized it as not only, I don't want to call it a weak spot, but something that I could improve on, and that improving upon that would move my business forward exponentially. And so I focused on different quarters, have been focused on different things I need to learn to become better at sales. So copywriting, email marketing, which is in the fall, is when I'm tackling email marketing. Selling live, there's been different focuses for me each quarter. And really, to get good at sales, you know what you have to do a lot? You have to sell a lot of stuff. So lots of launches is what that means. And I will be doing a launch coming up. And then I will also be, and this is the automation part I want to talk to you guys about. So I have affiliate links. I don't really hit the affiliate income side of things hard enough. Like the opportunities are there, and I'm just sort of leaving them on the table. And I feel like a lot of us do that, and that's okay, right? Like we only have so much bandwidth in our head for certain things at a certain time, right? I'm massaging my scalp, massaging the bandwidth. And so if you are just learning email marketing and you're just learning how to really become a good affiliate salesperson, and you have a day job and a family and you're raising children or whatever it is going on in your life, sometimes you just need to learn one of those things at a time. And that's what I do. Like, you guys, I put my blinders on. This is the only reason anything ever gets done in my business. I put my blinders on and I focus on one thing. There are some people that are good at focusing on multiple things at a time, and more power to them, right? there's a reason that there's no one set recipe for having a successful small business and for being an entrepreneur. It's because every person's journey is different. What works for one business is not going to work for another, or might not work for another, might not work as well, right? So, however you need to do it is fine. If you need to put your blinders on and focus on one thing at a time, do it. So, when I was in like heavy blog post writing phase, when I was just trying to get like a library of content for people to come to my blog and browse, I did that for just 2 quarters straight. Like that was it. Like I was focused on, these are my blinders, my little horsey blinders. I was focused on blog writing and that was it. That is what I was focused on. And that's how I had to do it. Yeah, Amy says, I do this too. Last year, I focused on YouTube and doing 1 video a week. This year, I'm focused on streamlining systems. It's easier for me to put the blinders on too. Yeah. Amy says, meanwhile, I've done like 2 YouTube videos this year. Too many balls in the air. Yeah. Well, and I really do think that that's when it comes down to, and I know you just hired help, but like, that's when it comes down to like, we got to hire help, right? We got to, if we want to continue, if we want to add something else in, obviously something else has got to give. And if you want to keep up whatever it is you were doing at the same pace, so let's say you were writing, 10 blog posts a month, and then you decided it was time to go into course creation mode and sell some stuff, but you wanted to continue to write 10 blog posts a month, that time is going to have to come from somewhere or someone, right? You can hire that out. And that's okay. Like, we don't have to do everything all at once, right? Yep. Amy says, that's why I focus on systems this year. Otherwise, you can't hire peeps. That's right. Because if you don't have your systems in place, then that just means you sitting there with them, right? Which defeats the purpose of hiring somebody. I hear you. Amanda says, I need to work on those blinders. I'm making lists after lists and need to sit down and organize it and prioritize it. Yeah. And yeah, we all have never-ending to-do lists, right? And the truth of it is that a lot of that stuff is really non-important. That's what I've found. I'll make a whole bunch of lists for myself, and then if I actually sit myself down and be like, what really needs to be done that is going to move the business forward, and most of it, it's like 1 or 2 items on the list. Paulette says the last 2 quarters were focused solely on creating, testing, and finally launching this course. Yay! So there was no time for anything else, and that's why I've been successful and took 2 vacations, bitchin'. I love it. Yes. Yeah, and that's what I had to do too. Really, to create, that's what I'm focusing on this summer, because as you guys will find out next week, I am building something awesome. I'm building something amazing that is going to help bloggers build their blogging empires. And there's only so much bandwidth up here to do that. So if I try to focus on that and a million other things, it's just not going to happen. And probably all of them are going to suffer, not be as good as they could, or not get completed at all, right? So good job putting your blinders on, Paulette. Yeah. Amanda says, I'm in a stall trying to get ready for my move back to the States. Yay. Yeah. Well, and that might be just one. And this is something I want to talk to you guys about. Like, sometimes you just have to let yourself not work on your blog, right? And actually, when you come back, you will probably be way more productive and outproduce and out move the needle forward in your business than you would if you kept slugging through it in this time where you really need to be focusing on something else. And whatever that something else is just fine. Even if that something else is that it's freaking sunny outside after 8 months of gray in the Pacific Northwest and you need to go get your ass some vitamin D, go do it. Right? I mean, it's so important. And our bodies are trying to tell us something, right? When we are like yearning to be outside. Do you know that Stephen King, I forgot his name for a minute. I almost said Stephen New, which is one of our customers at the day job. Stephen King. Well, first of all, he writes all of his books longhand. That's crazy. Like I get a hand cramp just thinking about that. My carpal tunnel flares up when I think about that. But second, he sits himself in a room with no windows so he can focus on his writing. And I'm like, that doesn't sound healthy. I mean, what? Obviously, it's worked for him, but this is somebody who we know spends most of his life writing, right? So he spent most of his life in a little windowless room. I mean, that sounds terrible to me. Awful. I mean, you do you, boo, but my door open over here just so I can stare at the outside a little bit. Yeah, listen to your body. Take care of yourself. That's right. Paulette says, you're not a machine. You need to rest and a healthy dose of procrastination. Yeah, you need to rest. So, and I remember you guys will get better at making these like badass decisions for yourself. So who said a word of the year this year? Did you guys give yourself like a word of the year for yourself? And what was it? I want to hear in the comments. Tell me what your word of the year was. And are you still reminding yourself of it? My word of the year was ascend, as in ascend my throne for my blogging empire. And when I find myself kind of getting caught up and like worried about like petty shit that a queen would not worry about, I remind myself to ascend. So not this time last year, in the spring last year, I was really giving myself hell because I needed to be working on my blogging business, but it was gray AF in the Pacific Northwest for 8 months straight, and it was finally sunny, and my heart, my soul, and my body wanted to be outside in the sun, and I could not focus on my blog, and I agonized over that shit, and I remember asking for external permission to go outside and play, and that is shit I don't do anymore. First of all, you don't need to ask for external permission for anything. You are the boss. This is your business and this is your life. You don't need anybody else's permission to do shit. Second, I just don't second guess myself that way anymore. Don't get me wrong. I second guess myself in other ways. But if my intuition is telling me I need to get my ass outside, I go get my ass outside and I play in the garden, right? I trust that is going to move my business forward more than sitting down and, maybe getting a couple reluctant paragraphs out on a blog post. Sometimes we just got to listen to our bodies, minds, hearts, and souls. All right. Paulette's was escalate. Love it. Tahmina, power. Yes. Lauren, optimistic. I love it. Ooh, of course it's working. I'm constantly asking myself, what an optimistic person do? It is working. I love that. So are you guys still living into your word of the year? Do you feel like you are? So Lauren does. Paulette, are you escalating? Tahmina, are you stepping into your power? I feel like you guys are. Let me tell you, after I just told you to not care about external perspectives, from this external perspective, y'all are crushing it. Absolutely. Okay, awesome. That's great. Okay. Yeah, and I actually have ascend written on a little sticky note, and I did this last year too. I can't remember last year's. Oh, last year's was ready. Last year's was ready. That was my word of the year before I knew it was a word of the year. I'd never done like the word of the year thing, but I was so freaking tired of my inner monologue telling me not yet, not yet, not yet. You're not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready. That I wrote ready down on a little sticky note and I stuck it in front of me until I believed it. And it worked. Okay. See, I have it on a little sticky note. It says ascend. Can you guys see it? Look, I'm like one of those beauty bloggers. Let me put my hand behind it and it focuses, except for it doesn't. Anyway, so I have to remind myself to ascend, right? When I'm worried about petty shit. Would a queen worry about this? No, get over it. Amy says, yes, let's punish ourselves. Writing must be hard, LOL. Tortured artists amuse me. Yes. And actually, my headline writing story is a bit of a tortured artist story. I thought that by writing clickable headlines, I was going to be selling out. It was a whole thing. Don't even get me started. But yeah, we do. We tell ourselves these stories that invalidate ourselves, right? It's our brain thinking it's keeping us safe, but really it's just making us miserable. Tamia says, I keep forgetting from time to time and have to remind myself, but I've taken more steps into my power business-wise than I have in previous years. Yes. And that I keep doing that too, right? Because we get in the weeds. We get in the weeds and we forget that we need to like kind of rise above it and look at the whole picture every once in a while. Yeah. We get in the weeds and we forget that we're supposed to be ascending to our throne or stepping into our power or escalating above into like a higher realm of functioning or being optimistic. Something I've been trying to do on the subject of optimism is judge women less. I mean, it's good to judge everybody less, right? I have been trying to do that and reminding myself that everybody is just doing their best, right? Everybody in this world is in their own little bubble, living their life, and they are trying to do their best. But also, like, we as women do not need to be breaking down other women. There are lots of systems in place that already do that to us on autopilot. We don't need to be doing that to one another. So every time I find myself passing judgment on another woman, I'm like, do you really need to be doing this right now? She's doing her best. Is this really the best use of your energy? This is the conversations I've been having with myself in my head. Okay, I got on a wicked tangent there. Thank you guys for staying around. Yeah, let yourself, if you all need a break, let yourself take a break. It will look at breaks as the best thing you can do to move your blogging business forward right that moment. It will not be restorative in nature and it will not feel good and like a break if you're telling yourself you should be working and that you should feel bad for not working. Give yourself an intentional break. I'm going to take this break. My body, my mind, my heart, my soul is telling me I need it. I'm going to take this break. It is going to be the most restorative, best thing I can do for my blogging business right now. Uh-oh, here comes Hemi. Here comes trouble. Some people's cats named after writers. Okay. I really went off on a tangent there. I think that's it. I think that was all the questions. Let me go back to our original post here just to double, triple check. Does anybody else have any questions? So we're just doing like a live Q&A today. I do have a couple topics, but if you have questions, let me know. Oh, Pico's not named after anybody. It's Hemingway that's named after somebody. Some guy, I can't remember his name. Yeah, I think that was it. Pico, I don't know. Charlotte came up with that name. And I asked her if it was like Pico de Gallo. She said no. So I don't know. At first we were going to call him Jefe because he's super bossy. He's very bossy. But it didn't stick. And she named him Pico. Yeah, Pico, Pico. Yeah, like Pico de Gallo. He's pretty cute. I like him. He doesn't have a tail. It makes him really super cute. Okay, so again, to reiterate, if you guys need to learn how to write copywriting, use Tahmina's course. Link is in the description. If you want somebody to do it for you, my girl Crystal has done for you copywriting service. Link is in the description. And, Hemi, come on, man. Oh, I remember what I was going to talk to you guys about that I was forgetting. Automations. Okay, so I was planning out my quarter, right? And keeping in mind that I only want to focus on one thing. Creating this thing that I'm going to make. I can't tell you guys about yet. It's super secret. I'll tell you guys next week. So knowing my squirrel brain, how I need to focus, and that I have a billion other things going on during the summer, I know that I really need to focus on this one thing. But one of my favorite blogging business tools is having a super, super good sale. And I am an affiliate for them and I would like to promote it. Not only because it's an amazing sale, like lots and lots and lots of money off, but it's a really, really great tool. Anyway, the point is, it was like the shiniest of all the shiny objects. I really wanted to participate in this. And so I was like going over this with myself in my head, like Kelly, you need to focus. You can't go chase this shiny object. Focus, Thorson, focus, right? And then I was like, hello, you can write all your sales emails now and set them up on automation to go out. Automation. Yes. So while I have the time, I have a little bit of time before Q2. I have a week. Or Q3, I'm sorry. I'm going to write the sales emails for that affiliate sale that's happening in, I'm sorry, Hemingway messed up my speaker. Now it's buzzing at me. Okay. I'm going to write the emails for that affiliate sale that's happening in July now. And then they're just going to go out and I'm not going to even worry about them. Automations are such a big deal. And do we live in the most perfect time for automations or what? You can do most anything you want with freaking Zapier. So yeah, we're good. Oh, Tahmina says, oh, hang on. Should I create a coupon code for your group? Wow, that'd be amazing. Tahmina, if you want to do that, you want to offer them a little discount, that would be super amazing. Thank you. So yeah, this sale is actually pretty long. It's like 2 weeks. And so I'm going to write a series of emails now and then just schedule them to go out, right? Why not? And then if you guys want to hear all about automations, so y'all know I'm a huge James Wedmore fan. The gal who is a major player in his business, Jilly, I think her name's Cedeno. Damn it, Hemi. She is like an automation queen. And she did a whole podcast episode for their podcast, the Mind Your Business podcast, where she talks about the various automations she did. It's really, really cool. If you just want your mind opened up to what can happen with automations, you can do some pretty sophisticated automations and save yourself a ton of time. It's so important with scaling, right? And if you are struggling, like you're in that weird growing phase where you really need a VA, but you don't quite know if you can hire one yet financially or whatever, turn to automations first. See what you're doing every single day that you can automate out. An example would be, just a second. Excuse me. See, Hemingway comes around and I sneeze. I swear I'm allergic to my cats, which means I suffer because the cats aren't going anywhere. An example would be, if you are starting to sell more products, you'll notice that oftentimes comes with more customer service emails. Most of the time it's like, I can't find my link and it's in your spam folder, right? So what you can do is set up an auto response that says, hey, super glad you've reached out. This is your girl, Kelly. I'll try to respond to you within 24 hours. But in the meantime, here are some frequently asked questions. And if this doesn't solve it for you, just hit me back up or whatever, right? And you could tell them, go check your spam folder, or maybe you didn't get your password for your login. These are the keywords you need to search in Google or in Gmail to find your password that I emailed to you, right? All of those questions that come up customer service wise that people ask over and over and over and over, and you will get them. You could put those in a frequently asked questions email and probably shave off a whole bunch of time for yourself, and time that is just so redundant, right? It's not producing anything creatively. It's kind of burning you out because you've answered this question 20,000 times before, etc. Amy says, yeah, the Google canned responses are great as well for frequently asked questions. I forget what they are called now. That's awesome. Yeah, canned responses. That's right. Yeah, things like that can save you a lot of time. And like I said, like automation is easier than ever. So I think that Jilly Sedano I was telling you about, she uses Zapier and Monday.com. And I actually checked out Monday.com and it was pretty freaking cool. It was more than I need right now because it's just me. But it's pretty sweet, Monday.com. Okay. And today is the last day of $20 off Sinfully Sexy Headlines. So if you guys are not in Sinfully Sexy Headlines, it is my course where I teach you how to write clickable headlines, because if you are writing badass bitchin' blog posts and throwing a crappy headline on there, nobody's ever going to read your blog post. So today is the last day to get $20 off. There are 2 tiers. So there's the junior blogger tier and the pro blogger tier. You can take $20 off either one of them. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. Don't miss it. And that's that. Oh, thank you, Amy. I'm glad you like the course. Yeah, I will be popping back on here because like I said, I'm in creation mode this quarter. I am creating something. I truly believe this is going to be fucking awesome. Sorry if there were any kiddos in the room, but I am so stoked to make this. Yeah, I'm just really excited. So I'm going to be popping back on here a little bit more frequently to talk to you guys about it. And I will, next week, I'll tell you guys all about it. So this weekend, guess what I'm doing? Writing a sales page. Guess what I'm not doing? Doing it from scratch. I'm using my template. Oh yeah, gonna do it. Oh, thank you, Tahmina. You're blown away by all my email headlines? Really? Oh, that's sweet. When I do my email headlines, somehow I'm always like, is that good? But blog headlines, I'm like, yeah, nailed it. I don't know. Anyway, it's just funny how we get in our heads about stuff, right? I'm insecure about stuff too, you guys. I love you. That's it. That's the last thought. I want to end on that. I love you so much. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you build your blogging empire. Y'all know where to find me. If you have any questions, you need help with anything. Sorry, I shouldn't have messed with that. Drop them in the Facebook group. I am here to help you. The group was created to help all y'all. Oh, thank you, Tahmina. All right, friends. Happy Thursday. I'll see you soon. And if I don't see you tomorrow, I hope you have a great weekend. Like the best. Bye.